I'm just curious, when would you guys say human life begins?
That's like a philosophical question for the ages.
When there's a heartbeat.
Just casually asked.
When there's a heartbeat.
Or no, I guess in the uterus.
See, now we have 3 different answers.
Yeah, actually,
so we have I will presume a group of women, because you all self-described as women. I'm kidding. When does life begin?
Heartbeat.
I'm going to still stay at birth. Even though I know that your cells can be formed in the brain and stuff in the uterus. But yeah, I think you're not fully a human until you're born.
Okay. And you said heartbeat, right? Okay.
I think it's very difficult to answer. I think mostly consciousness and personhood is really what people are seeking to identify. And I believe, I'm sure you happen to know, how long is how many weeks is a full term of pregnancy?
It's a good question. I know very well. It's about 38, 39 weeks. 40 is at the furthest of gestation.
40 weeks. So as far as I know, around 30 weeks is when you see typically most development of the fetus has taken place. So I would say around
way
there.
Earlier than that, but yeah. So heartbeat is right around 6 weeks. Brain waves are even before that. And you could do an ultrasound at you could start to do ultrasounds at 8 weeks, and you can see the full being right around 12 weeks. And right around 25, 26 weeks are now the earliest cases we have of babies that are able to survive outside of the womb. Does anyone have any other answers on that?
Well, I mean, I'm not educated scientifically enough about the biology of all of it, but I agree. I think that life is a very subjective term. You could say when does the infant's body in the womb start functioning, or you could say when do they start perceiving their consciousness. And for me, it's when they start perceiving their consciousness, but truly I have no idea when that is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would be important to? Let me ask you this: if you knew for certain the baby, would you agree it's a baby? Is that a good term to use if it's in a womb? Is that a baby?
I think most people would say fetus.
Probably fetus. Yeah.
Okay, so what does fetus mean in Latin?
I think a fetus is a growing child. It's a
developing
child.
You're right, Molly. It means a little human.
Yeah.
It's just using fetus is nothing more than a cope for what it is. It's a baby, right? So it's just
obviously not. If we're here debating it, I don't think it's as settled.
Well, then you don't have to
is.
use the word fetus. It makes people feel better. It's obviously a baby.
No, I mean obviously you wouldn't take a fetus that just has a heart and their brain isn't fully formed and be that's the same as a 1 month old.
Yeah.
We obviously see differences between development from then and there.
So, but then how about 30 weeks?
That's where it becomes a lot more contentious. Mm-hmm. But the point being is that we don't look at a fetus from its beginning stages and be that's the same thing as my 3-month-old cousin.
Hold on, that's a 9-month-old is not the same thing as a 1-month-old.
Okay,
right? So you can go through the progression of development continues. The question is, when does it start?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. I agree with that.
So
do you think conception?
Of course. That's the only answer.
Most women, I don't believe, even know that they're pregnant before 6 weeks.
But,
so around the heartbeat and stuff
like
that.
The knowledge of your pregnancy doesn't mean that you're not pregnant.
No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying practicality-wise, there are many instances of women who have miscarriages without even ever knowing, because it might just present as a very heavy cycle that month.
That's fine, but it doesn't make it any less a life, right?
So
go ahead, Molly.
No, but do you mourn that miscarriage in the same way you mourn
100%,
an
yes.
abortion, a conscious choice?
Not the same way. No, it's not the same way. No, but it's still a tragedy. A miscarriage is a tragedy, but an abortion.
Even if she doesn't know about it?
But an abortion is an act of human will. A miscarriage most times is not. Now, sometimes it can be a miscarriage because you drank alcohol and you didn't know you were pregnant, or you might have taken a drug that had side effects. But yes, a miscarriage is a tragedy. Yes.
I have a question. So, do you care about the children once they're born?
I mean, I care a lot about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if say a woman got R-worded or something, say she didn't have a good life, do you still think that child deserves to be brought into the world just to suffer?
Well, so it's not a guarantee of suffering, number one. One sec. The answer is yes, the life should be brought into the world. There are twice as many people on the adoption waiting list.
There's so many people.
Well, let me ask you guys, and I'm just curious, how many abortions do you think there are a year in America?
I have no
tens
idea.
of thousands, I assume.
Any other guesses?
I have no clue.
What if I told you there was over 1 million abortions every year?
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
But you went from tens of thousands to 1 million.
I mean, there's billions of people on the On the
Yeah, there's 340 million in America. That's right. No, but do you think
as far as like reported ones, because even just reported data is going to be incomplete.
That
because
doesn't count mifepristone, which is the chemical abortion that people have at home. It doesn't count Plan B, right? So,
and even if like abortion were illegal, for example, we stopped gathering data on like who procures abortions, there would be so many. There's so many now, even with states where it's still legal.
Texas, it's gone down dramatically. So hundreds of thousands.
No, they're still happening. It's just
no, they're happening,
not being accounted
about
for.
About 90% abortion.
Women are just doing it to themselves.
Right. It's a 90% abortion reduction rate in Texas. I don't want to dwell on that too much, though. So there's 1 million abortions every single year. And there's twice as many people on the there's 2 million people actively on the adoption waiting list. So there's really no such thing currently, there could be, but currently, of an unwanted child. So there's 2 million people wanting to adopt, and there's 1 million people that have abortions every single year. So there's twice as many people that want to get a child. Now, there's a longer conversation about making it less bureaucratic without allowing bad people to adopt kids for bad reasons. I'm perfectly open for that conversation. But to answer your question, I don't love the premise. It's a really good question because a lot of people have it. I don't necessarily believe being born in poverty is a death sentence or is a reason to terminate.
Of course not.
No, but abortion is a death sentence.
I think there are frivolous reasons to procure abortions, but I don't believe that just because there are frivolous reasons to get them, that means it should be outlawed.
But should murder be outlawed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you were saying, even though you believe that those women have a hand in committing the murder and infanticide, basically, of their own children, they shouldn't go to jail.
They have not been given informed consent.
Do you have that opinion with people who are addicted to drugs? Do you think only drug dealers should go to jail, but not people who actually try to buy drugs and consume them?
It depends what drug it is. It depends the category, the class, the
Is there a single drug where you would say that somebody who is buying and consuming drugs that they are addicted to should not be going to jail, but only their drug dealer should be going to jail?
I mean, I think fentanyl and heroin potentially, but it's a completely separate issue because a lot of people know the informed consent of heroin and fentanyl. It's not we have PSAs, we have billboards. Stop using fentanyl. Stop doing fentanyl. How many times have you heard that? Have you ever?
But they have a chemical dependency now that prevents them from being able to make that choice.
How often have we ever had an honest conversation with women in this country saying that having an abortion increases the chances for depression, anxiety, medication dependence?
So does having a kid.
What? Hold on.
Having children carries all of those same risks.
You think having children? You think having children?
No, don't mischaracterize me.
No, that's not true at all.
I'm not going to say that having a child necessarily gives you depression or any of that.
That's what she said.
It can come with it. Like postpartum depression, for example, is extremely common among young
It's temporary and short-lived, and obviously.
Not always.
For some people, last years.
So is the depression from
temporary and short-lived. That's not permanent.
You think
but when you're
years
in that,
of living
you're
with
not...
postpartum depression can simply constitute a temporary medical issue?
Let's theoretically even grant. So you're saying because of potential postpartum depression or financial burdens, the moral answer is allow women to go in.
No, that was never my
clinics.
argument. This had nothing to do with morality. This was a completely separate question. I'm only saying that I feel like you're trivializing and downplaying how serious conditions like postpartum depression can be when you want to write it off as like a temporary medical issue when it can be years-long battle.
Look, having children is a serious choice. So what percentage of abortions, according to the Guttmacher Institute, are not life of the mother? What percentage would you say?
Probably the vast majority.
97%. So is abortion now birth control, yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's situational to each and every person.
Molly, do you think that birth control, it could be called birth control in certain
because
situations?
You're talking about over 1 million abortions, but there's tens of millions of women that are on birth control, that have IUDs, that take birth control pills. So obviously, that's not the only reason why.
But it's a form of birth control. Is it not?
It's a form of birth control, sure, but you acknowledge that it's not the predominant form of birth control.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Hold on. I said it's birth control.
Yeah, but we're not disagreeing with the category. I'm talking about the prevalence of it.
If it's birth control, then why would we allow it to continue if it's not? If you put the life of the mother, which we can debate.
I didn't.
But no, I'm going to put that aside for a second. Then why should we allow a horrific procedure to continue that has such heavy and dire consequences and results in a child not being able to live outside of the womb?
Because that's
you're loading it so much by saying a horrific procedure. Most women who procure abortions actually report being happy long term because they made the choice, because there's many different reasons why women get abortions. Some women aren't in a financial position to have a child at that time and actually decide to have children later.
How'd they get pregnant?
What do you mean? They had sex unprotected an accident.
So they want the orgasm without the responsibility.
Do you think the majority of women are having orgasms in sex? Are you serious? Have you seen the studies on orgasm gaps between men and women?
I'll be honest. So they want all the pleasure. They want all. But It's you want all the loose lifestyle, but none
I
of the
don't want a kid from
responsibilities.
Now you're framing it like the punishment for having it should
Hold
like
on, it's a
orgasm should be
punishment?
punished. No, the way that you're framing it,
No,
which is
it's
that
not a punishment.
oh, you
It's
want
called
the
a cost.
loosey goosey parts of sex,
Hold
like
on.
the orgasm,
If you-
but you don't want the responsibility of a child. It's like some people want to be able to have sex.
Okay, no, you
and,
articulate it
not have
perfectly.
kids.
I'm going to be able to have sex how I want, and if I have to go put a dagger through, or have someone put a dagger through a child for me, then so be it.